Adam still remembered his father's raised voice and angry words just a few days after he had returned from Germany. "I have to open it. Don't you understand?" Pa had insisted. "Never," his mother had replied. "After all the sacrifices I have made, you at least owe me that." Over 20 years had passed since that confrontation, and he had never heard the subject referred to again, and the only time Adam ever mentioned it to his sister, she could throw no light on what it might have been over. Adam pressed his foot on the brake as they reached a crossroads at the end of High Street. He turned right and continued to drive out of the village for a mile or so down a winding country lane, before bringing the old Morris Minor to a halt. Adam leapt out and opened the trellised gate, whose path led through a neat lawn to a little thatched cottage. "I'm sure you ought to be getting back to London," were his mother's first words as she entered the drawing-room. "I'm in no hurry, Mother. There's nothing that can't wait until tomorrow." "Just as you wish, my dear. But you don't have to worry yourself over me," his mother continued. She stared up at the tall young man who reminded her so much of Gerald. He would have been as good-looking as her husband if it weren't for the slight break in his nose. The same dark hair and deep brown eyes, the same open, honest face, even the same gentle approach to everyone he came across, but most of all the same high standards of morality that had brought them to their present sad state. "And in any case, I've always got Margaret to take care of me," she added. Adam looked across at his sister and wondered how she would now cope with St. Susan of Appleshaw. Margaret had recently become engaged to a London stockbroker, and although the marriage had been postponed, she would soon be wanting to start a life of her own. Thank God her fiancé had already put a down payment on a little house only 14 miles away. After tea, and a sad, uninterrupted monologue from their mother on the virtues and misfortunes of their father, Margaret cleared away and left the two of them alone. They had both loved him in such different ways, although Adam felt that he had never let Pa really know how much he appreciated him. "Now that you're no longer in the army, my dear, I do hope you'll be able to find a worthwhile job," his mother said uneasily, as she recalled how difficult that had proved to be for his father. "I'm sure everything will be just fine, Mother," he replied. "The Foreign Office has asked to see me again," he added, hoping to reassure her. "Still, now that you've got £500 of your own," she said, "that should make things a little easier for you." Adam smiled fondly at her, wondering when she had last spent a day in London. His share of the Chelsea flat alone was £4 a week, and he still had to eat occasionally. She raised her eyes and, looking up at the clock on the mantelpiece, said, "You'd better be getting along, my dear. I don't like the thought of you on that motorbike after dark." Adam bent down to kiss her on the cheek. "I'll give you a call tomorrow," he said. On his way out, he stuck his head around the kitchen door and shouted to his sister, "I'm off. I'll be sending you a cheque for £50. "Why?" asked Margaret, looking up from the sink. "Just let's say it's my blow for women's rights." He shut the kitchen door smartly to avoid the dishcloth that was hurled in his direction. Adam revved up his BSA and drove down the A303 through Andover and on toward London. As most of the traffic was coming west out of the city, he was able to make good time on his way back to the flat on Highfield Road. Adam had decided to wait until he had reached the privacy of his own room before he opened the envelope. Lately, the excitement in his life had not been such that he felt he could be blasé about the little ceremony. After all, in a way, he had waited most of his life to discover what could possibly be in the envelope he had now inherited. Adam had been told the story of the family tragedy by his father 1,000 times. "It's all a matter of honour, old chap," his father would repeat, lifting his chin and squaring his shoulders. Adam's father had not realized he had spent a lifetime overhearing the snide comments of lesser men and suffering the sidelong glances from those officers who had made sure they were not seen too regularly in his company. Petty men with petty minds. Adam knew his father far too well to believe, even for a moment, that he could have been involved in such treachery as was whispered. Adam took one hand off the handlebars and fingered the envelope in his inside pocket, like a schoolboy the day before his birthday, feeling the shape of a present in the hope of discovering some clue as to its contents. He felt certain that whatever it contained would not be to anyone's advantage, now his father was dead, but it did not lessen his curiosity. He tried to piece together the few facts he had been told over the years,